Hey again, I'm Dr. Flux, and this is General Psychology. Welcome to Lecture 1.2, where we'll continue building on what we started in our last video. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of theoretical models in psychology. But before we get there, let's do a quick recap of Lecture 1.1. In the last lecture, we talked about how psychologists use models to simplify and understand complex phenomenon. Remember the phrase, all models are wrong but some are useful? That's the heart of it. Our models don't have to be perfect, just effective for explaining and predicting behavior. When we say, all models are wrong but some are useful, what do we mean? Is it A, we should stop trying to understand reality? B, models are unhelpful, so we should only trust our senses? C, models may be imperfect, but sometimes they can help us understand the world? Or D, supermodels may not know much, but they can be useful? The answer here is C. All models may be imperfect, but some of them can still help us understand the world. According to the American Psychological Society, or APA, which of the ABCs of psychology refer to thoughts? Is it A, affect, B, behavior, C, cognition, or D, culture? The answer here is C, cognition. Psychology is a science that studies affect, behavior, and cognitions, the ABCs. Today, we'll start with an example, and then we'll dive into four major theoretical models: evolutionary, behavioral, sociocultural, and cognitive. But first, let's warm up with a few questions. Question number 1. Are you from Colorado, or are you from out of state? For this example, I'll be showing some data based on typical statistics for the University of Colorado Boulder, where I'm currently teaching this class. Usually just under 60% of students are from Colorado. Next question. Do you think Crocs are fashionable? Here we can see a little bit of a spread. It looks like more people disagree than agree. Let's ask another question. Do you own a pair of Crocs? Here we can see that people might disagree that they're fashionable or not, but it looks like a bunch of people still own them. Let's look a bit deeper into this data and see if we can find any trends based on whether students are from Colorado or not and what they think about Crocs. Here, the light blue bars represent students from Colorado, while the dark blue bars represent students from out of state. When we look at the differences by state, it looks like more people from out of state own Crocs than those who are from Colorado. Does that impact whether people think Crocs are fashionable? Here, we see that more people in Colorado think that Crocs are unfashionable, but more people from out of state think that Crocs are fashionable. By looking a bit more deeply into the data, we've identified some new patterns that we couldn't see before. Now, is all of this psychology? It actually is. These questions tap into the ABCs of psychology: our affect, or our feelings about Crocs, our behaviors, like what kind of shoes we buy, and our beliefs or cognitions around what we think about Crocs. By asking structured, empirical questions, we're gathering data to understand human behavior. This is psychology in action. As psychologists, we're always searching for big picture ways to explain broad patterns of human behavior. Let's see how our example about Crocs fits into the four major theoretical models. Our first approach is the evolutionary approach to understanding psychology. An evolutionary approach to psychology examines how the human mind and behavior have been shaped by natural selection to solve problems faced by our ancestors in their environments. It's based on the idea that as organisms reproduce, the heritable material that dictates who we are, the genes in our DNA, sometimes is reproduced incorrectly, leading to mutations. Once in a while, a mutation occurs that may provide an organism with an advantage in their environment, improving their survival and reproductive fitness. When this happens, those organisms experience an advantage over others and are more likely to pass these mutations onto their offspring, leading to slow changes over time that help improve an organism's adaptation to their environment. To look at psychology through an evolutionary model, we have to think about thoughts and behaviors in a similar way to physical attributes. Just as physical traits like opposable thumbs or sharp teeth evolved to enhance survival and reproduction, so too did psychological traits like fear responses, social bonding, and decision-making. For instance, consider a fear of snakes or a fear of heights. These fears likely provided a survival advantage to early humans, helping them avoid dangerous situations. Similarly, human emotions like love and jealousy may have evolved to strengthen social bonds and encourage reproductive success, which were critical in small, interdependent communities. These traits improve a species' ability to survive and reproduce, increasing its fitness in the environment. An evolutionary approach emphasizes the adaptive functions of behaviors and mental processes. It seeks to explain not just what we do, but why we do it, by tracing the origins of psychological traits to the challenges of our ancestral environment. Critics of this approach argue that it can lead to speculative conclusions about why behaviors exist, but its insights still remain invaluable. By understanding psychology through the lens of evolution, we gain a deeper appreciation for how ancient pressures continue to shape the human mind today. So how could we model whether Crocs are fashionable through an evolutionary lens? Well, we might say that having an affinity for Crocs in some way provides an advantage to people. Perhaps Crocs offer better traction when walking, so people who wear Crocs are less likely to trip and fall down. And this is why they continue to remain in fashion. The behavioral approach to psychology focuses on the observable actions of individuals and how these actions are shaped by environmental factors, emphasizing the importance of learning and conditioning. Pioneers like Ivan Pavlov, John Watson, and B.F. Skinner laid the groundwork for understanding behavior through experiments that demonstrated the power of stimuli and reinforcement. Behaviorists like B.F. Skinner argued that most of what we do is driven by seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. Early behaviorists even went so far as to say that conscious thought played no role in understanding human behavior, that everything was based on whether behaviors were being rewarded or punished. Behaviorism is built around the idea that organisms seek pleasure and try to avoid pain. We gain pleasure from behaviors that are adaptive to fulfilling our needs, and we experience pain when we act in ways that are detrimental to our own well-being. Our behaviors are built by our experiences, though we have recognized that some organisms can learn by observation. How would we apply this to our Crocs example? Well, a behaviorist might say that you were randomly wandering around until suddenly you put your feet into a pair of Crocs and felt pleasure at how comfortable they were. You continued to wear them because they provided you with that pleasurable feeling of comfort, and they continued to reinforce that behavior because they would help you navigate the world. Crocs then are fashionable because they provide some sort of incentive or reward. Let's do an attention check. Which model focuses on how our behaviors are reinforced or punished? Is it A, the evolutionary model, B, the behavioral model, C, the cognitive model, or D, the sociocultural model? The correct answer here is B, the behavioral model. The sociocultural model of psychology emphasizes the role of social interaction, cultural influences, and environmental factors in shaping human thought, emotion, and behavior. Unlike approaches that focus on the individual in isolation, the sociocultural model views humans as deeply embedded in a network of relationships and cultural norms that influence every aspect of their psychology. Key to this model is the idea that behavior and cognition are not universal, but vary depending on cultural and societal contexts. For example, how people express emotions, solve problems, or even define success can differ widely between cultures. This model highlights the importance of learning through social interaction, particularly in early development. Lev Vygotsky, who we'll get into in our final module of this course, had a concept called the zone of proximal development, which illustrates how skills and knowledge emerge through collaboration and guidance from more experienced individuals. The sociocultural model also considers how societal structures, like socioeconomic status, access to education, and cultural customs, affect psychological outcomes by creating group norms that guide behavior. The norms help guide people to know what is right or wrong, what is attractive or repulsive, or behavior that is appropriate for men or women in society. How would this apply to our Crocs example? Well, through the sociocultural model, Crocs are either fashionable or not depending on local customs that help influence our opinions about Crocs. Perhaps we're part of a culture where Crocs are a status symbol. Or maybe our culture puts an emphasis on comfort in a way that makes Crocs desirable. In this example, we'd form our opinion about Crocs based on group norms reinforced by our culture and social groups. The cognitive model of psychology focuses on the way humans perceive, think, and process information to understand and interact with the world. It emphasizes the role of internal mental processes, such as attention, memory, language, and problem solving, in shaping emotions and behavior. At its core, the cognitive model asserts that our thoughts and interpretations of events, rather than the events themselves, influence our feelings and actions. For example, two individuals may experience the same situation, such as receiving critical feedback, but interpret it differently. One might view it as an opportunity for growth, leading to motivation, while the other might see it as a personal failure, resulting in discouragement. This model sees human behavior through the lens of our cognitions, our beliefs, attitudes, expectations, goals, and memories. Developed through the work of theorists like Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis, the cognitive model has wide applications, particularly in cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT aims to help individuals identify and restructure negative thought patterns, fostering healthier behaviors and emotional resilience. This model underscores the profound impact of thought processes on the human experience. Applying this model to our Crocs example, we decide whether Crocs are fashionable or not based on our thoughts and beliefs. Maybe you think that you look good in Crocs, or perhaps you think that Crocs are ugly and you don't understand why anyone else would like them. Or maybe you have really positive childhood memories of wearing Crocs, and they impact how you see them today. The cognitive model looks at these decisions based on the thoughts in your head, not necessarily how those thoughts were reinforced or what other people are doing. Let's do another attention check. Which model explains behavior through cultural norms? A. Evolutionary, B. Behavioral, C. Cognitive, or D. Sociocultural? The correct answer here is D. Sociocultural. Psychology gives us these models to understand different aspects of human behavior, from instincts to thoughts to cultural rituals. Using our Crocs example, you might have noticed how these models overlap. They each provide unique insights, but they also complement one another depending on the questions we're asking. As we move forward in this course, keep asking yourself, which of these models is most useful for explaining behavior? Where do they fall short? Let's do some review before we conclude. A student uses AI to assist them with their homework because their classmates are all using it. This can be explained through which model? A. Evolutionary, B. Behavioral, C. Sociocultural, or D. Cognitive? The correct answer is C. This would be an example of social and cultural attitudes impacting a person's behavior. Let's do another one. A student uses generative AI because she does not think she can complete the assignment without it. This can be explained through which model? A. Evolutionary, B. Behavioral, C. Sociocultural, or D. Cognitive? This statement is looking at the student's behavior as a function of their beliefs, so this would be an example of D. The cognitive model. In our next lecture, we'll dive into strategies for effective learning, giving you tools to succeed in this class and beyond. Until then, stay curious, stay resilient, and above all, live life in flux. I'll see you in the next lecture. Flux out.